Hey guys, it's me Nicolette Mashile, and today I want to speak a little bit about the personal loan versus home loan when buying a property debate. Because it's very apparent that in this country we do not seem to understand how interest rates work. And it's so important that when you understand what an interest rate is and how it works and what it means when it comes to you borrowing money from the banks, you will start to be able to discern whether you're going to take a personal loan or a home loan when you are purchasing a house. So, before I get into all this, I want us to all remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please speak to somebody who is registered and certified to give financial advice. So let's jump straight into it. Guys, let's be clear. A personal loan is an unsecured loan, right? Which means that it attracts very high interest rates, number one. Number two, the bank doesn't care what you do with the money. They will give it to you as long as you can afford to pay it off. And number three, they will give you a shorter period to actually pay off that loan. A home loan, on the other hand, is a secured loan because you are buying an asset, and it's an asset that they have stipulated. For instance, you can't use home loan money to buy anything else other than a home, right? Which they have valued and they have accepted that it is valued at the amount of money that you want to pay for it. So the argument of whether or not you're taking a personal loan to buy a house or you're using a home loan really for me is totally unnecessary, because just based on the interest rate that both these two structures attract, you should be clear on which one you're going to use to buy a loan. Here's where a lot of people get tricked or get confused. They get confused on the loan term. Why? Because an unsecured loan, like a personal loan, will say you need to pay it off in 6 months. For 6 years, for instance. And on a secured loan, like a home loan, you will get a longer loan term, like 20 years. But the one thing that we don't seem to want to understand or accept or actually just conceive in our heads is the fact that there is no law that says you need to pay off your home loan in 20 years. So now I'm just sitting here thinking, if a personal loan attracts an interest rate of like 20% and your home loan attracts an interest rate of like 10%, which one would you end up opting for? Because I think if you can personally pay for, let's say for instance, like this guy on Twitter says, why don't you take 400,000 Rand on a personal loan, pay it off within 6 years, build the house of your dreams and live happily ever, versus taking 400,000 Rand on a home loan and then living in an RDP type of house and you have to pay it off over 20 years. Like, I'm so confused. You don't have to do that. Like, guys, first and foremost, number one, there are things called building loans. So you can still get a building loan, which is kind of structured very similar to a home loan. That's number one. But number two, I'm just sitting here thinking, if you can pay the installment of a personal loan on 400,000 Rand on a 20% interest rate, surely you can use the same installment amount and pay off the 20-year home loan for the same amount of money at 10% interest rate, which ultimately then means that you are paying less interest. Let's dial it back a little again, because I think people do not seem to understand this. Personal loan, it is unsecured lending. The bank will charge you a higher interest rate because they want to get as much money from you as possible if there is any chance of you defaulting, right? Shorter periods, granted, but it's at a higher interest rate. Home loan tells you what you need to buy, so you can't use the money for anything else. So that's number one, which is actually safety net for some of us, because some of us, if we see 400,000 Rand in our account, we're going to now start wanting to build a 250,000 Rand house and the other 150 go spend it on other things, right? So they tell you exactly what you need to build or buy. Number two, it is over 20 years granted, but there's no law that says you've got to take the entire 20 years to pay off this thing. You can pay it off in as less years as you choose, as long as you've got extra money that you can put in there. And the more extra money you pay into there, the less interest you pay. So why would you want to pay more interest in a shorter space of time? It doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know. This argument of personal loan versus home loan and buying a house or paying for a house, it ain't never made sense to me, guys.